I wake up most mornings and I say, what a wonderful day. Now, what can I be offended by today? No, I don't really. I rather enjoy life. But how moral is the world? Not very, not very. And we have Moral Maze every Monday. Matt Witoyski joins us this time from Campaign Life Coalition to discuss issues of life, sexuality, and what is life without sexuality, of course, or something like that. Baby due in a week, I hear.
Yep.
First?
Second.
Second. Oh, well, it's easy then.
Yeah,
What are you moaning about?
I'm a pro now.
I know, and women, the way they complain, eh?
Yeah, I know. I don't get it. No. Please don't show
That
my
was
wife
a
this.
joke. That was a joke. Beautiful, wonderful, noble thing, children and family and so on. Prostitution by its nature is always ugly, but it's also by its nature inevitable. And that's the clip here of Peter MacKay, who's intervening on this. I suppose it's come down to the Conservative Party against the Supreme Court, which I don't think is a good state of affairs, but let's have a clip of him, please.
Importantly, if we do not respond legislatively within the year, most adult prostitution-related activities will be decriminalized. And so, for our government to do nothing was never an option. The government does not accept the proposition that prostitution is inevitable. The government maintains that prostitution's inherent harms and dangers would only grow and be exacerbated in a regime that perpetrates and condones the exploitation of vulnerable individuals through legalized prostitution.
Sorry, mate, you're wrong. It is inevitable. I mean, the idea that if we all wish hard enough and pray hard enough, there'll be no prostitution, the whole point is it is inevitable. It's what we do about it. I actually believe what we have now is probably, it's not perfect, but it's probably the best we're going to do.
Yeah, sure. I mean, well, currently we have no law, because as you know, in December, the Supreme Court struck down the old prostitution law. And as MacKay was saying, they have about a year to bring in a new law. There's a lot of debate going on about this. The left, the right, they all have their arguments. Like you said, prostitution's been around since the beginning of mankind. There's no way we can get rid of it. However, so has theft, so has murder. And we have laws for these things. We have laws that protect people, and we have laws that protect victims.
Let me ask you about this, because I actually agree with you. I'm not saying qualitatively it's the same as murder and theft, but I think it is always negative. But there's now a whole agenda, an ideology, and some of them are going to be arguing this, this inquiry. They believe that prostitution is not negative. It's about choice. It's an aspect of the sex trade. I mean, I've had emails from people today, some of whom are my friends, and they say, no, of course there's the bad part of it. We can deal with that, the pimps and so on. But if a woman chooses to be a sex trade worker, she should be allowed to be. This is something relatively new.
It is relatively new, and I think, yeah, there is a percentage of women who are in the sex trade by choice. Right? I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah, of course.
However, that is nowhere near the majority of people. In this trade, there is a lot of abuse, a lot of exploitation, and it is a very evil and dark environment, especially for young women, children, and for those people who think that Canada, you know, we live in North America, everything's fine and dandy here. Well, that's just not true. The sex trade is alive here in this country, and we need to do something about this.
Most people, anyone of good conscience would agree that if children are involved, it is wrong. If women are being brought in from Eastern Europe and traded and they have no right of refusal, that is wrong. But a lot of people would also say, but if a woman decides she wants to sell her body and a man wants to pay for it, then why shouldn't she?
I mean, if it's up to me, I would criminalize it altogether.
Would you?
Yeah, I would. Prostitution altogether. I mean, we know the
courts
Supreme
will be
Court,
very busy, wouldn't they?
The Supreme Court, with all their activist judges, that will never happen in this country. But I think we need to look at the inherent dignity of every human being, and we have to accept the fact that and understand that prostitution will always be the exploitation of an individual.
I disagree with you. I mean, not in the latter part of what you said. I mean, the Supreme Court, they are activists. What people need to realize is that lawyers don't say to themselves, and these types of lawyers, oh, good, I haven't changed anything today, I'm important. They have a self-defined and self-refined significance by what they can change. They think they're superior, they're this Platonic cabal, they know more than the politicians. Yeah. Yes, that is granted. But to criminalize all of prostitution, that means the courts will be so busy dealing with women, with the men involved. You really want to make criminals out of people who maybe have made one mistake, a guy who,
I think,
you know, he sees one night, desperate, he sees this woman and he stops the car and suddenly he's a criminal. Do you really think that's appropriate?
I mean, what the government is doing with this bill C-36, they want to protect vulnerable women and children.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that those who profit off of this and the customers be judged on what they're doing, on their actions.
I'm willing to judge them. I don't want to terrify them as well. Yeah. I don't think I want to put them in prison. I don't think I want to make them criminals. I want to make sure they don't do it again. But I think there's a middle way. I think most Canadians would say there is a middle way. It's gonna happen. Let's limit it. Let's make it difficult, but let's not make it impossible and criminalize everything, and let's not make it open and completely liberal.
I think you have to look at the situation here. If someone steals something, they get punished for that.
Yep.
And sometimes if it's big enough, then they will go to prison. Mm-hmm. I think the same applies in this situation.
So stealing, if I steal your phone, if I steal your money, that's the same as a woman saying, I'm willing to sell my body to you for some money.
I'm saying it's the guy or the pimp or anyone who's exploiting this woman should.
If there's no pimp involved.
Then it's something we have to look into. I don't have the answer. I think we need to look at that person and we need to see how we can help them so they don't have to make that choice.
Let's go to another easy one. I mean, these are fascinating, compelling issues, and I think most of the views involved have a certain credibility behind them. Doctors refusing to perform abortions. Now, how does the law or lack of law stand here? Obviously, a GP is not involved in this, but this would be what, a gynecologist, an obstetrician?
Well, this doctor is actually, this situation is in Poland, and he's a director of one of the largest, most respected Catholic hospitals in Poland, in Warsaw, Holy Family Hospital. And he refused to commit an abortion on a woman who came into the hospital, whose baby was about 22 to 24 weeks gestation, and had there was some brain damage involved. So she wanted an abortion. He said, no, this goes against my conscience. Obviously, you know where you're at. This is the Catholic
Why did
hospital.
she go there? There are non-Catholic hospitals.
There's a lot of conspiracy out there. This guy is he's known as a pro-life activist. He has a very good reputation. Some people say that this was all they're trying to get him. They're trying to open this debate. They're trying to expand the abortion debate in Poland. And I don't buy that.
Yeah.
But
he's been fined, has he?
He's been fined about 70,000 zloty, which is about $20,000. It's not that big of a fine, but it's an issue of principle.
Let's talk about Canada. How do things stand here? Are doctors involved in this possible area? Are they allowed to say, no, I'm not going to perform those?
I think so. I mean, in Canada, you see the case of just recently, last week, there's a doctor out in Calgary who worked at a walk-in clinic, and she had a sign, every time she's on duty, it says the current doctor on duty will not prescribe contraception. And
I think that's a different issue, though.
It's a different issue, but at the same time, when it comes to morning after pill, any other types of abortifacients, I mean, these things, doctors have the right.
About the contraceptive pill?
Yeah, which could be an abortifacient at the same time. You can't deny that. That it's just the science behind it.
I'm trying to be consistent here. If you're working in the public sector and you're being paid by public tax dollars, I think the law is the law. Now, you have the perfect right, and I'd applaud you if you said, I'm not going to be part of that, but there are certain consequences.
I mean, there's conscience rights, right? And do doctors have those rights? And I know the Medical Association and all these colleges are discussing this issue right now. And I mean, in my opinion, I think doctors, I mean, if you don't want to, if you don't like the doctor, go to someone else. And I mean, it's not like, there's clinics, walk-in clinics everywhere. There's hospitals everywhere. You can get a family doctor. I mean, it's not easy to get a family doctor now with the shortage.
Quite difficult, isn't it?
But there are other options. And if just because one doctor doesn't prescribe contraception or doesn't commit abortions or refuses to refer you to an abortionist because of their conscience, I think they have the right to do so.
It's a very complex issue. I know people on both sides think it's simple and easy and black and white. Sorry, it's nuanced, it's challenging and absolutely fascinating. A pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
No problem.